Hello YouTube, welcome to Warrior Camping. Now today we've got the second one of our bargain Bootfair finds from the weekend when me and Jess went up the Bootfair. Now this is a Pro Action. I'm not sure of the model, don't know what's in here, I haven't had it out of the bag. So we got this Sunday up the Bootfair and it was the bargain price of £3. So you're not getting a tent cheaper than this, are you? £3. So let's see what we have actually got in the Pro Action bag. So Jess told me off with this one when we was buying it because I did tell the bloke that his tent was rubbish, and Jess said you can't say that to the bloke, you can't tell him that his tent's a load of rubbish. I went, well, it's a Pro Action little rubbish budget tent. I had to tell him I didn't really want it. So that was the thing, the bloke wanted a tenner for this, Jess found it, the man wanted a tenner for it. Jess come and got me because I was looking at another stall. She went, oh, I found a nice little tent. The bloke said we can have it for a tenner. So when I've gone over there and looked at it, Pro Action, and I was like, oh, Jess, that's not a nice little tent. That's a Pro Action budget tent. And then the bloke said to Jess, do you want that tent, love? Do you want that tent for a tenner? I went, no, mate, we'll leave that. That's a terrible little budget tent. He went, oh, is it? It's not that bad. I went, no, mate, I don't want that, really. Pro Action. I don't really want it. And the bloke went, I'll take a cheap offer for it. Make me an offer. I don't want to take it home. And yeah, but I don't want to take it home, mate. No one wants to take that home, mate. It's the Pro Action budget 10. That's why you haven't sold it, mate, and it's still here. And the bloke went, oh, go on, make me a cheap offer. She wants it, look. I went, oh, mate, it's Pro Action. I don't really want it, but I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give you £3 for it, as it is a little budget tent. And the bloke went, yeah, all right, mate, take it. I don't want to take it home. And he went, it's not that bad. I've used it. I went, so why are you selling it then? Have you given up camping? He went, no, I love a bit of camping. He said, but I have bought a much better tent. So we all had a good laugh at that. I went, see, even you know it's the budget tent and you bought yourself something better. So we had a laugh with the bloke in the end. And I bought the little Pro Action tent for £3. So let's see what I've actually got. I was happy to buy it for £3. And we did have a laugh. When we got down Witherspoons, Jess was laughing. She said, I can't believe that you told that bloke that his tent was the terrible budget tent. I said, yeah, but it is the terrible budget tent. I said, I just tell it how it is. He had the terrible budget tent. I didn't really want it, so I told him I didn't really want it. I said, but we got it for £3, didn't we? If I'd have said I wanted it, he would have kept going that it's a tenner. I said he would not have let us have it for £3 if I made out I wanted it. Said I did sort of want it because I thought it'd be quite funny to put on the channel, little Pro Action tent. But there was no way I was paying £10 for this tent. I said, for by me telling him it was terrible and I didn't want it, we got it for £3. So Jess was laughing about that. So as you can see, it's got 3 poles with it, the fiberglass poles, and it has got a little spare section of pole with it, so it's even got a spare in case you break a section. And these are actually quite thick, they are quite robust fiberglass poles these, they are not the thin ones, they are the like more heavy duty fiberglass poles. These are more like the poles that you'd find in like a big 4-man tent or a big 6-man tent. Not a little 2-man tent that I thought this was. And after like laying this out, I think this is bigger than a 2-man tent. I didn't even think to ask the bloke. The bloke had said he used it. I should have asked him exactly what it was. I didn't. I just like paid him my £3 and walked away with the little Pro Action tent. So, going by how thick these poles are and how big that fly sheet looks, I reckon this might be bigger than a 2-man tent. I'm not sure how big yet, because I can't see any markings or anything on it. Nothing wrote on it, like how many man or anything like that. There was nothing in the bag. So we'll have to wait and see when it goes up and see if we can work out how big it is. But it's definitely bigger than a 2-man. Unless it's 2-man with a massive great porch on the front or something. Could be that. And it has got the little ground sheet bit there, the little triangle bit that goes in a porch. So it has definitely got a porch on it, this tent, because I've got the little ground sheet for wiping your feet before you go into the lovely Pro Action tent. Now, I know I mugged this tent off a bit, but I'm actually looking at it and it sort of looks alright, this tent. Even the fly feels quite nice. Doesn't feel like really cheap rubbish material. Alright, doesn't feel like a Hillenberg or a Mountain Hardware, but it feels quite nice. Does not feel like them terrible little pop-up tent fly sheet material. So this might be a bit of a better quality tent from Pro Action actually. We might have done well with this one and our £3. And it did look a bit dirty in the bag, but now I've got the inner and that out, it looks alright. I think it just might have been the top of the bag, and when I opened it up I was looking straight at a section of that fly that is dirty. And it is a bit dirty, that fly, but the inner looks really nice. I sort of thought the whole lot would be a bit mud smothered, but it's not. That inner looks really nice. So that is a dome inner. That's a big dome inner and all. That's like a 4-man dome inner, 5-man dome inner. That is a big dome inner with one door at the front. And that looks like a big door for getting in and out. And it does look like it's got the mesh bug sheet. So it looks like you'll be able to unzip that and turn the door so it's like a vent. And it looks like it's got a big vent at the back and all, this inner. So I have got 2 poles the same length. So let's chuck them through. So that's why these poles are thicker, because this is a bigger tent. If it was a little 2-man, it would have had them really thin little fiberglass poles. But as this is a big 4 or 5-man, I reckon this is. Might be a 3. But that is why it's got the thicker, chunkier poles, because it's quite a big tent, this one. The bag wasn't that big, so there's a lot of tent in there for the little bag. It was heavyish, this tent. It is not a lightweight backpacking tent. You could probably split the weight up with 2 of you on this tent and it wouldn't be a problem. If 2 of you took this, you'd be alright with it. Or if you're going camping on a campsite with a car, then this would be a good little tent. Especially if you picked one up as cheap as I did. You can't go wrong, can you? If this thing is all there, a tent for £3, don't matter how bad it is. If it works and it's waterproof, it is a bargain. Tent for £3. I'm not sure how old this tent is. I don't know much about the Pro Action tents. They are not something that I look at on eBay, the Pro Action. But I do see them a lot because I'm always looking on eBay at tents. Especially when I'm out camping, I sit in my tent on my phone and flick through eBay at tents. And there is a lot of them come up for sale, innit, the Pro Action tents, and you see them for sale new. They're not a lot of money, so they are a cheap little tent, the Pro Action. So it's looking alright so far. This inner looks really nice. And it's got that, like, thick ground sheet base to it, that crinkly material, but that's alright. You expect that on a cheap tent, and there is nothing wrong with that material. It doesn't leak, it's very robust, and it's just what all companies use on these cheaper tents, innit? If you buy any sort of like bargain budget tent, it's going to have a base like that on it. It'll have that material, which there is nothing wrong with it. It's just all the cheaper tents will have like that. And years ago, a lot of the vintage tents have that. So years ago, you found that base in like a good quality tent, because like the newer materials, they wasn't out then. So this material has been around for years and years and years, and it works well. It's just like, I think it's a bit heavy and a bit crinkly, so the materials have moved on in nicer tents. You wouldn't buy, if you bought a nice tent and paid a lot of money for it and you got that ground sheet material, yeah, that's not right nowadays. I'd be very disappointed if I bought a new tent and then paid a bit of money for it and it turned up and the ground sheet's made out of that stuff. So the elastic in these poles, as you can see, it is a bit baggy, so they're all falling apart. But that's not a problem. You can just like stretch that elastic a bit more and retie it and then cut a little bit off of it to shorten it up. And it'll have a few more years in it if you do that. You can tighten the elastic up. Long as it's not snapped, you can tighten it up because it all stretches over the years. And it must have a little bit of age to this tent for all the elastic and that to be that stretched. So like I said, this is the second tent that we bought up the Bootfair. The first one we bought, I put it up earlier. So the video will be on the channel before this one. It was like a high peaks tent. You can see it's just the pins on this one. You just lock the pins into the end. And when it's got double pins at the beginning, at the front, that will be where the porch pole goes across and locks onto them other pins. So it's got like 4 pins at the front of this tent to take the 2 poles. So yeah, the first tent we found, it was a high peaks bag. So I saw a high peaks bag and then opened it up and found in it a set of black poles. So after a bit of haggling with a bloke, I bought that one for £6 because I wasn't sure what was in it. I didn't know if I'd got a high peaks tent with a set of black poles or what. I thought I might have had a tent with the wrong poles or whatever, but I bought it for £6. But when we put it up earlier, it's a high peaks bag, but inside it is a sort of nice black storm shield tent. So that was a really good buy for £6. Alright, it's got a tiny little bit of damage to it, but nothing that's not easy to repair, nothing that affects the tent's like usability. So like, it's a bit of a vintage black storm shield tent, so that was a really good buy for £6. So like, on Sunday we bought 2 tents for £9. That's bargain camping, isn't it? 2 tents for £9. You're not getting tents cheaper than that, not from anywhere. But it is possible up the Bootfair, bit of haggling, bit of hunting. It's amazing what you can find. And I was sort of hoping to have found like a big like 6-man family tent or a big massive like family tent. Just to do on the channel, show people what sort of family tents you can get at and all that for like a bargain price like the Bootfair. And normally I see loads of them big tents, but I'm walking, I'm like camping near the Bootfair, so I can't carry one of them big tents because I've got to lug it all the way back to my tent, then pack my tent up and all the gear, and then lug it all home, and I can't do that with one of them big tents as well. It's just too much. So today, because we had the car there, Jess had her car, I did think, right, if I find a big tent, I'm going to buy it and do it on the channel. But like, because we was after one, we never found one. Apart from one like Vango that looked a bit mouldy and that, and the bloke wanted £25 for it. So I wasn't buying that. But we didn't find no others of the big tents. When normally I see loads in it, but that's just the way it works. When you want something, you don't actually find it. But I will keep my eye out for a big tent. And Jess has already said, if I did find a big tent, it's too big for me to carry home, I can ring her. When she finishes work Sunday morning, she could always come up the Bootfair and collect it for me. So if I find another big one, I might get one and do it on the old channel. Do a few family tents, because I know a lot of people like families and that go camping. It's great, a bit of family camping. I did it as a kid and that. Really great holiday, especially for your little kiddies, isn't it? Like when I was a kid, I absolutely loved the camping holidays. When I went with my mum and dad and we went in the hotels and all that, wasn't like them camping holidays. Them camping holidays are great, so I love it when I see the families doing the like camping holidays with the little kiddies and all that. Yeah, it's great for the kiddies. So I will get a few tents like that if I can find them, just to put on the channel, show people what old family stuff's out there. So if I do find any of them big tents, if I can get them at a really ridiculous low price, I will get my hands on a few to put on the channel, just to show people what is out there if you're going family camping on a budget. And you'd have a laugh, innit? If you was like a family, if you went up to Bootfair having a hunt round with a tent, and you bought a big old tent for like 10, 15 quid, something like that, and then you took it away camping as a family, oh, you'd have a right laugh in that tent, the Bootfair tent. Yeah, you'd have a good crack. So as you can see, that's the inner up, and I've looked round it. I can't see no damage to this whole inner. It looks alright, and I would say it's like a 4-man now it's up. Maybe a 5. It's bigger than a 3. It is quite a big inner, this. This is a big tent, and that bag was only little. I weren't expecting a big tent like this. I really thought it was going to be a little 2-man. I thought it was going to be one of them little 2-man, horrible little single skin like pop-up things, or double skin but just like the really terrible little double skin where the fly sheet's like attached to it and that. But it's not this Pro Action, it is like a proper dome tent. So it's got the nice inner where the poles go up in the inner, so it forms the dome, and then the flies sit over the top. So the way the poles are done, that will keep a gap between like the fly and this inner to keep it venting, so it should keep it nice and dry. So I'm just pegging down the 4 corners, so that's all you really need to do with these doming, isn't it? Just peg the 4 corners down and they stay in place. So I'm just struggling to get a peg in there with that pin, because that'll be in the way there. My garden's rock hard, so it's awkward to get the old pegs in at the minute. So I'm just stretching it out, whack a peg in, pull the old corners out. So that'll be the front done, and then I'll move on round and just peg the 2 back corners down, just to hold it out and hold it in place. And it does look alright, this inner. I give this tent a bit of a hard time. I mugged it off and it doesn't actually look that bad, really. The bloke was right when he said it's not that bad. And it does look very usable, this old tent, as long as the fly's good and the fly goes over it nice and there's no holes in it. Does look very usable, this tent. You'd be fine in this, camping out, British summertime. And alright, if you want to take a tent in the winter and pitch it at the top of Ben Nevis, no, I wouldn't take this one. It will not withstand that. But for a normal bit of like summertime camping, this tent will do you. This tent will be fine for that. I bet it can deal with a bit of rain and all that, because that fly actually feels like it's half decent material. It's not that really horrible little thin stuff that them little pop-ups are made out of that just leak. It has got a bit of thickness to it, that fly sheet. So there you are, the inner is pegged out. Look at the size of that, that's massive, that inner. That could be a 5-man, you know. Definitely a 4, that's bigger than a 3, that's massive. I'm going for a 4-man or a 5-man, this old Pro Action, with a porch on the front, because I've still got 1 pole left over that I'd imagine is going to go through a sleeve on the fly, and then it's going to go on the pegs either side of the front feet, so it'll just go onto them pegs and hold a little porch out. So it'll have a little door on the front of the porch. Way you go, this tent is looking alright for 3 quid. Look at it, looks quite good. That inner's worth £3, that inner's alright. And if you knew there was no rain and all that, and you was going out camping, you could camp in just that inner. Long as you knew there was no rain coming. Or even, say like you did buy a tent like this £3 and the fly's no good but the inner's good, you could put a tarpaulin over the top of this thing in the summer and like use it underneath a tarpaulin. So that inner on its own is worth £3, definitely. So I'm happy with this for £3. That inner's alright. His fly's looking alright, really. So far, so good with the £3 bargain Pro Action tent. And it's got quite a good colour scheme going on with it as well, isn't it? With this fly, dark blue and a bit lighter blue, and then with that light blue inner, I bet this thing looks alright when it's pitched up. Quite a good old colour scheme going on. Well, as long as you like blue. If you don't like blue, then maybe this tent is not for you. So all I'm going to do is pull the fly over and I'll just hook it over the pegs at the back for now. It might not go like that, the back might need pulling out tighter. But at the minute, just to hold it in place, I will just hook it over the pegs at the back. So as you can see, it looks like it's got a single door on the front of it. And it looks like it has got the sleeve to put the other pole through. Because I wasn't sure. I thought it might have been where you tied it to the other pole. But it's not one of them. It has got a sleeve to slide the other pole through. So let's get the other pole and get it slid through the old Pro Action tent. So I've just noticed that it's got at the back here, it's got the ties to like tie the tent to the top of the dome. So I'll do that first because then you know it's centred. Tie the middle of the fly to the centre of the tent, and then you know it's in the right place because that centre of where the poles cross, that fly's got a tie on it to tie there. So let's go back to the front and get the pole in. So the pole slides through the sleeve and it will just hold the porch out a bit and give it a bit more height to the front of the tent. So when they got these like porches on the front of the tent, they always have a pole, so there'd be nothing to hold them up. So this needs the pole, and this pole, like I said, it's shorter than the other two, so it was easy to do this one. The two long poles do the cross at the back, and then the shorter pole does the porch. A ton of tents work like this, so it's an easy one. Two long poles at the back, shorter pole at the front. So it's going through the sleeve, so just poke that in, and then it's going to go on the little pins at the front, and imagine the pole leans forward, because them pins are like at the same place as the base of the other poles at the front. So I'd imagine this little pole now goes on the pins, and then you lean it forward and tie it out on a couple of guidelines to like hold it forward, and then your porch should be up. Bit like when they do it like this, isn't it? It's a bit fiddly where the sleeves in a few parts, you have to keep finding them. So it's easier when you've got one sleeve, isn't it? One continuous long sleeve, and just keep going. But never mind, got what you got, and it only cost £3. And there you can see a marking on it there, so the grey pole goes into there. It has got a little colour-coded markings on it. So that's it, the grey pole is through at the front, so I'll just get it on the pins. And as you can see there, that must have been the bit I was looking at in the bag, because this side of the tent looks really dirty, like it's had mud or something chucked up it. I will give that a clean before I put it back in the bag. I'll clean all that off, let it dry out this afternoon before I put it back in the bag. Give it a little clean up, the old £3 Pro Action. So I'm just having to move that peg because it's stopping the pin standing up. So I'll just move that peg to the other side because that pin there needs to stand up in the air to take this pole. Struggling here, my garden is so hard at the minute. Where we've had no rain and that, it's just rock hard, my garden. And there is quite a lot of stones in it. So that's it, that side is in. Let's go over to the other side. And all you're doing is like push the pole in and sort of false it into an arch, innit? There's a bit of a knack to doing these poles. You learn as you've done them. As you push them in, like false them into an arch. And then there you go, that is up, the Pro Action. So I can't see no damage on the fly, other than it being a bit grubby, like you said. Not so much this side looks alright. But that other side looks like it's had all mud chucked up it. And I'd like to know who that was. Who was the dirty git who threw all mud up the side of my nice Pro Action tent? Terrible thing to do, chucking mud at my tent. If I knew who they was, I'd make 'em come round here with a bucket of soapy water and clean all their messy mud off. But I don't know who they are, so I'll have to clean it myself. So that's all you do really, stretch the front out, whack a couple of pegs in, and then I should just move round, going towards the back, pulling it out and pegging it down. So far, other than the dirty git throwing all mud up the side of my tent, this thing looks alright actually. I can't see no damage to it. So it does look alright, and especially for £3, isn't it? This thing's fantastic for £3. Although I probably won't keep this, I will just give this away. It was a bargain for £3. And someone, whoever I give this to, will be very happy with it, and they will have a usable little tent that has got some life left in it. This will do someone for a few years. And Jess is just saying to me that she wants to go camping in the £3 tent. She wants me and her to get the old £3 tent out camping before I give it away. So alright then, Jess, we will do that. Me and you shall go camping in the £3 Bootfair bargain tent. We could even invite Amy. The three of us could go away in this, and then we could all chip in £1 each to buy the tent, and we'll go camping. That would be budget camping on an extreme level, the £1 each tent. So I'm just going round, putting the pegs into the back, tensioning it up a bit on the old fly. Now the front's up and pegged out. Yeah, and that's all you need though. The back just hooks onto the pegs. So that's it, and it is very dirty, this fly, but what do you expect? It was £3 up the Bootfair, and it's not mould, that just looks like mud. Looks like this has been picked somewhere where it's been raining and it's been in a ton of mud and it's all splattered up it, and whoever's put it away or done whatever just hasn't bothered cleaning it. That's only mud, that is not mould marks, that is just like dirt. And that looks like a bit of bird poop as well. So it's got all this tent, dirt and the bird poop. So this is definitely a nature tent, built for the mud-loving bird watcher to go camping. So that's it, I've put the guides out. I won't be able to do that one at the back, but I've done the other guides round that side. I'll just do this one here, and I'll get the one at the back this side. It's just getting a bit more slack on them guides, so I can peg it down a bit further and pull out the side of the lovely old £3 Pro Action bird poop tent. Yeah, so that's gone alright, and let's get this guide out. Peg this one down, just do the same, get a bit of slack on it, pull it down. Do that, and then, oh yeah, I forgot, it's got the little carpet for the front, so you can wipe the bird poop off your feet before you go in the tent. So I should put that in when we open it up, get the little carpet in the front, the little ground protector. So that's it, the Pro Action is up, and it does actually look like quite a nice little tent. Alright, it's not a high-end tent, this thing is a bit of a budget tent, but there is nothing wrong with it whatsoever, and Very good bargain for £3. I'd imagine on eBay this wouldn't make a lot, this tent, would it? What would it make on eBay? 20 quid? 25 quid? Wouldn't make a lot. I wouldn't pay no more than that for one of these on eBay. 25 quid, 20 quid. Get yourself a really good usable tent that will do you. As long as you're only going camping in the old summertime, be nothing wrong with this tent. Perfectly usable. Got all the big vent at the front. So yeah, big door at the front. It looks like it's going to roll right up on the toggle, so you'll be able to open the whole front of this right up. So just looking at it, there is nothing wrong with this. You don't need nothing better than this to go camping in the summer. This thing would do you. You'd have a good laugh with this going camping. And on eBay, I don't know, but I would say you'd probably get one of these for 20 or 25 quid delivered to your door, because this is not an expensive tent. And it's got a little bit of age to it, this tent, I would say. I would say this is not a current model that you could buy brand new. I might be wrong, they might still make it. This might be a model that they've made for years and years and years. And now I've seen it up, I think I have seen this tent before out and about. It just looks like a tent that I've seen before. This Pro Action Dome tent. And they're alright, the domes. They're quite strong, the dome tent. And they're good because you get a load of room inside with the dome. And this one is higher than normal. In there, that inner is tall. So this is quite a high dome on this. So I bet you'll be able to sit up inside this no problem whatsoever. So all the zip works. Because that's always a thing, isn't it? When the zips go, oh, it's hard to fix the zip. On something like this for £3, if the zip's ruined, you are chucking it away, ain't you? But so far, the zips are working nice. Let's hope the one inside works good. And then, yeah, happy days with the £3 tent. Perfectly usable little Pro Action budget Bootfair tent. So I've just put the camera down for a second so I can do the door on the toggle. And it goes on 2 toggles up the top here. So the front of this does open right up. So this will be alright for a bit of cooking. And it has got the little porch ground sheet bit that can go in there. And that's just going to peg down like separate. So if you wanted to cook in that porch, you could even lay like a rock on that so you don't melt it with your stove. Or you just unpeg one side of it and flip it over on itself and cook in the half where you're down to the ground. So looking at this little porch ground sheet, it doesn't hook onto the tent nowhere. It looks like you just peg it down, 1 peg in each corner. So it's going to take 4 pegs to whack this little bit of the ground sheet in. But it's still good, this little ground sheet, because if you're going somewhere and the ground's a bit damp, at least you can keep your gear nice and dry in it. You can lay this down and all your gear will stay nice and dry. But like if 2 of you was using this tent, you don't really need this because there'll be a ton of room. I reckon when we unzip that in there, that's going to be massive. There'll be a ton of room in there for all your gear, so you could have all your gear in that inner with you. So I'll just get a couple of pegs in this. I'd imagine this would go black side up. I reckon that's how it goes. So put 2 pegs this side and then I'll go across and chuck a couple of pegs in the other side. And I have just noted it's got a little hole in that porch bit. Someone has burnt a hole in it. Someone has been cooking in here without flipping it back. And they have burnt a hole in it or dropped something hot on it. 'Cause it looks like it's got a tiny little melted hole. Could even be a burn from a cigarette, that. So who's been smoking in my porch? That's what I'd like to know. Whoever it was should have got an ashtray and then they wouldn't have burnt a hole in my lovely little porch ground sheet. As you can see it there, it's only tiny, but it does look like a little tiny melted hole in it. It's no problem though, look. I'm not worried about the little ground sheet having a hole in it. It does not affect the use of the tent whatsoever, that. So that is the little porch ground sheet all pegged in there. Fits nice, so it's definitely the right little sheet for this tent. So that's good for storing all your gear and all that, and if the ground's a bit wet, you store all your gear out there. Or even if you want to sit on the ground in this porch bit, that's like good, isn't it? And also, when the porch bits are like this, if you like, it was a nice sunny day, you could always unpeg that and put it out the front of the tent, peg it back down, and then use it to sit on if the ground's a bit wet and all that, but it's a nice sunny day, so you can move that out the front and use it as a nice little dry place to sit on the grass in the sunshine. So there you have it. That is the Pro Action 10 up in all its glory. Looks alright with the door rolled back and the little porch bit in it. Yeah, looks really good, this tent, especially for £3. Come on, you're not getting a better bargain than this, are ya? It really is good for £3. £3 is nothing, can it? So yeah, this is a really usable little tent. Looks nice enough in there. Does look alright in there. In there doesn't look that used. It looks really nice condition in there, and it's massive in there. Alright, could do with tensioning up a bit better. I haven't done it that well. I've just like thrown it up. But it does need a bit more tensioning on this inner. So there it's got its little label. Yeah, made in China. And yeah, looking at that one, if you look in that bottom corner, look, 1998. So is that the date when this tent was made? Or if this is a proper old vintage tent from 1998, I'm liking this tent. I might keep it. If it is from 1998, I'm going to have to look that up, because then this is a really good condition vintage tent. So if this was made in 1998, I might change my mind and keep this tent, because I love a vintage tent, and this is like 1998, this thing's almost 30 years old. So this, if this was made in 1998, in my book, this is a vintage tent. So this is the vintage Pro Action, and I like it now, I know that. I was thinking it's probably from about 2010 or something like that, maybe 2015. So I was thinking it might be like 10, 12, 15 years old. But if it's nearly 30 years old, then I really like this tent, because it is in excellent condition. And this is, if it was made in 1998, this is a full-blown vintage tent, nearly 30 years old, in fantastic condition, and it costs £3. So I'm liking this tent now, I know that. I need to look that up. That might not be what year it was made, innit? It could be like a code number or something. But if this thing was made in 1998, the old Pro Action might be a welcomed addition to the old tent collection, because I do love a vintage tent, and in my book, a tent from 1998 is 100% a vintage tent nowadays. So this thing's really nice then. If it's that old, I'm liking this tent. That's probably why it's got all the chunkier poles and all that, because it has got quite a bit of age to it. And it's massive in here, this tent. Alright, need to sort this ground sheet out a bit. It needs tensioning up better. But it is massive in here. I reckon this is definitely a 4-man. Or could even be a 5-man. You just saw me and Jess laying in there then. And it's got like a vent in the top. And it looks like it's got the 4 loops. So I'd imagine this would have had the little loft storage bit in it. But I haven't got that, sadly. That's gone missing. But there, look. The porch is really nice size. Good for a bit of cooking. Has got the inner mesh on the door. Look, I'll show you. So you can open this up and vent the whole door. Look, it's got a lovely bit of bug mesh on it. So yeah, I am liking the vintage Pro Action tent. Now I know this is a vintage tent, I'm liking it. So I love a vintage tent. 1998, lovely. So I didn't realise that Pro Action had been making tents that long. I might be wrong by that 1998. I'll have to do a bit of research on that, find out if that is the date or it's some sort of code number for it. But it did look like the date. It looked like it had the code number and then 1998. So I'm a 50-50. I reckon it could be the year or it could be some sort of code on it. But if this tent is from 1998, it's in fantastic condition for a cheap old tent. It really is. Really is in lovely condition. It's got a good look and all to it, this tent, with that big high dome sleeping compartment and the little porch out the front. It really looks nice. And where it's like a big 4-man tent, there's a ton of room inside this one. So it would be a good tent for 2 of you or 3 of you to go camping with, because there's a ton of room in there. There really is. That thing is massive inside with a load of height. And the way you can open the front up and just do the bug mesh on the door, you'd be able to use this in hot summer and it would vent alright with that. Just use the bug mesh and leave that front door open. This thing should stay nice and cool inside. Although I'm not sure on that, because where it is dark blue, it might heat up a bit. So we'll have to use it and find out. So it's got the vent at the back. A lot of mud over it at the back. A lot of mud over it at this side. But I can't see no damage anywhere to this tent. So I'm going to give this a clean up. Now I think this is from 1998. I'm going to give this tent a nice clean up this afternoon and leave it out to dry, because I am liking my £3 tent. This really was a good buy. And I wouldn't have bought this if Jess hadn't have found this. I would have just seen Pro Action bag and just kept walking on. I wouldn't have even bothered looking at it. But I'm really glad we've got this for £3. So the Pro Action tent is getting a thumbs down from me. It's all covered in mud and we paid far too much money for it. No, I'm only joking. The Pro Action gets a 100% thumbs up. It was an absolute bargain and now I know it's a vintage tent. I absolutely love it. So, the Pro Action. Really nice looking tent, and especially for £3, I'm giving it another thumbs up for costing £3. This thing is an absolute bargain, and it's in nice condition. All she needs is a bit of a clean up, and this old tent is good to go. So I'm on a bit of a roll at the minute, finding these old bargain Bootfair tents. So let's hope the roll continues and I keep finding them as good as this one and as cheap as this one. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe so you can join me again, see what I'm doing, looking at or finding. So I'm off now to give my lovely Pro Action £3 tent a good old clean and a little dry out in the sun. So let's go. Grubby old Bootfair tent cleaning.